This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about neuroplasticity, behavioral plasticity, and cultural adaptability. These three features of the human condition allowed us to create many different cultural systems, political systems, civilizations, to organize societies and economies, and it is possible to allow us to move to a different system that, in my opinion, is imperative that we really change the way we live, the way we think, the way we produce and allocate and distribute everything. Currently, and for a long time, we have been living influenced by a culture, literally colonized by a culture of the pursuit of self-interest. This is not new. It is as old as the capitalist order. Because if you have the principle that private property and proprietary rights and the accumulation of wealth is as a primacy over basically everything else, for sure the dominant culture becomes a culture of the primacy of the pursuit or self-interest. It can be individually, family, corporations, or other forms of organizations and groups. As Frederick Bastiat nailed it, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in society, through the course of time they will create for themselves a legal system to legalize it and a moral code to glorify it, which means that we live in a system that the universal law is the pursuit of self-interest, which means the universal belief, it's not only a law, it's a belief, it's a dogma, that the pursuit of self-interest is not only legitimate, but it is part of life. We just accept it, we just assume it as part of the human condition, and therefore we just operate, we function within these the parameters that are established by the people that control the system, which means basically the oligarchs and plutocrats. These are the people that usually control a class caste based system. There are new features, and there is this neoliberal order and the type of globalization that exists today, and the technology and everything is makes a different society and a different and it's not the same, but but the system itself, the structural problems created by this idea of the pursuit of self-interest is part. It has been. The neuroplasticity and the behavioral plasticity and the cultural adaptability has been used. It has produced this kind of structural permanency. That is a kind of a permanent system that the elites were able to, and this is across. This is not something that you can find here and not find there. It is a worldwide cultural phenomena with differences that basically means that we have to compete with each other for starting in a young age, for the best grades, we compete. The games, the function of games is to, it's already part of the idea that we have to win. We have to be better than others. But this is not a problem. It's not because we work to become, to improve ourselves, to improve our skills, to learn. It's good. It's a good thing. But when it is weaponized, it instrumentalizes us. It just uses out that natural, innate ability to make us tools to be tools and cogs of a system that is tailored or was tailored and it has evolved to serve the interests of the few. Which means that there was no intention and there is no intention to really liberate the many. You can improve, because many people fail to understand one thing that is crucial. We can improve the conditions, the physical, material conditions of people's lives. Okay, we can through the development, the technological development, and scientific and technological development, we can. There are gains in productivity. Okay, you can remember that now a very small percentage of the population grows the food for the rest of us. Okay. So which means that it's much easier now to feed the people. I'm not talking about the quality of the food or whatever it is, or all the things that are wrong about the food system and the agricultural systems. Okay, that's another thing. The idea is that we can, society, this kind of societal system is tailored to be able to improve the material conditions of everybody, or most of people at least, but not really liberate them, because capitalism is a system that is based on exclusion, not the other way around. And why? Because a system of unlimited accumulation of wealth and control of private property and the primacy of proprietary rights and their hereditary rights produces exclusion, not inclusion. It produces inequality. The result and the consequences is inequality, and the more accumulation, the easier it becomes to accumulate, for example, through the financialization of the economy as we have it today in so many countries, especially in the West. The accumulation, I mean the accumulation of wealth or the growth of inequality is exponential, because the system itself is the new tools, the new instruments, as they call financial instruments, allow this class, especially the finance, insurance and real estate, the fire sector, to teach is a rentier class. I really recommend Michael Hudson. He really explains this very well, and he has books. You can find it in his webpage. It's just michaelhudson.com, I think. Yes, .com. And I learned a lot with this man. And this is a rentier class. This is not. It doesn't produce anything now. It's just this is a class of parasites, plutocrats, and oligarchs also, which is the same, by the way. The inequality grows, which means the exclusion grows, in spite of the ability of the economy to satisfy the needs and to the needs in goods and services. It just does the opposite, because the rate of accumulation, the disparity between the tiny minority and the rest of us, just the gap just grows and grows and grows. So this is a systemic structural problem. It has nothing to do to the human condition. The reason I'm talking about neuroplasticity, behavioral plasticity, and cultural adaptability, it's because we need to understand these mechanisms, these features of the human condition that they can enslave us. They are I would say they are neutral, but they can be used to enslave us or to liberate us. And we have been, most of the history, especially the history of the imperialistic civilization, enslaved by the use of these characteristics of the human condition, these features of the human condition, that we have been instrumentalized for the purpose of being used as useful idiots, cannon fodder, and disposable pens when we are not necessary anymore, for as tools and cogs of a system that based on the pursuit of self-interest, because it has been like that for a long time, and but what it means really is that the pursuit of self-interest is basically a culture, an individualistic culture that makes us feel apart, that separates us from each other, to build meaningful communities, which means not just that we understand, that we feel that we are part of that the collective good matters, that we cannot allow ourselves to be separated, to be differentiated from the common good, because if we do, it will be at our costs, which means that it will be for the reinforcement of a culture of atomization in one side, and the wrong tribalization, which means that we tribalize around issues and values and principles and ideas that are against our best interests. Because we just are always think about how can we individually, or our families, or our enterprise, how can we make it work against the interest of others? This is a learned process. This is not, and that's the point of what I'm talking about. This is not innate. This is not part of the human condition. This is learned. That's why I mentioned. That's why it is important to understand neuroplasticity, behavioral plasticity, and cultural adaptability. Because, again, I'm going to repeat it again, that can be used for our liberation, for a culture of true to implement a culture of true liberation, or it can be used to implement a culture of enslavement, of mind colonization, and make us useful idiots, to divide us, to make it easier to oppress us. And that is, and we need to understand it. We need to understand that as social beings, with this innate ability, with this ability to use symbolic languages, with this ability, with our powerful creative imagination to build, to create stories, narratives, to explain, to try to explain, to try to build to build meaning, and also to integrate us in the space where we live. So we need these stories to make sense of reality, to make sense of ourselves, and to build our relations, our social, our identity, our cultural and social identity, the group identity, and to make it function. And to build as we have been surviving for so many millennia, hundreds of thousands of years, with economies that are based on two things: sufficiency and reciprocity. That's the essence of an economy. It's not about it was not about self-interest. It couldn't be like that, because it would be destructive. as it is today. It is destructive for ourselves because it truly destroys our inner life. I mean, the kind of society, the kind of societies that we have, this kind of systems, these structures, are so dysfunctional. But since we have this ability to adapt, because of the behavioral plasticity and the neuroplasticity that allows us to adapt to almost any kind of conditions and the societal and cultural systems and economic systems, that after a while we take it as granted, as if it was like that always. And the only way that we can start to have a critical approach, a critical analysis of critical systemic analysis of the reality of our societies and economic systems and civilization, it required a conscious transformative process. You know, that is I mean, this is obvious to me, because I cannot accept that was a fight over all my life. It takes a long time in order to understand, to put the puzzle together, the pieces of the puzzle together. But it's possible. We have to work on it. We have to discuss it, to talk, to have conversations, instead of fighting each other and buying into because most political parties and movements, it is about tribalization, and of course it has to be. There is a huge difference if we are on the right, because people say that everything is these days, you don't say blah blah, doesn't make sense to talk about right and left. Okay, wait a moment. It's not exactly like that. We have to talk about values, okay? And if we talk about values, we need to understand that there are a huge gap. There is a rift between the left and the right. We can use other labels and names to describe it. I mean, it's not just for the purpose of. It's the values and principles and ideas about society and economy and politics and culture, which the left, you know, I can call it radical left if you want. The values and principles and ideas goes like that, like this. First, a class, the understanding of class. And if you are really left, you need to be for a class or caste-less society. That makes no sense to have a society based on caste or class, because the principle of exploitation and inequality is already there to justify it. Okay? Then you can invent meritocratic values and many other things. Okay? So this is basic. Another thing is private property. Even if we, for whatever reason, want to have a society that allows the existence of private property and private property rights, and even or eventually hereditary rights, they have to be really limited, because the same goes for wealth accumulation and capital accumulation. Because if we do not understand the dangers of accumulation of private property or proprietary rights, and the connection with the build of power, which means the undemocratic power balance that grows and grows and grows until we just, with the many, become powerless. So we become powerless, and the pursuit of self-interest and the tribalization, which means that we are tribalized over woke left, woke right, the right or left wokeism, or sports, or so many ways to divide people over or using tribalization, because it is an ancient, it is part of the human condition, because we evolved as small groups. So tribal identity is important for us, but we can understand it, and we are not condemned to be manipulated and instrumentalized but the problem is, what kind of education and culture do we need to build? What kind of conscious transformational process do we need to go through in order to have a culture of liberation instead of culture of enslavement? And of course, I'm talking about enslavement in a holistic sense, which means that we are first and foremost, it's our mind enslavement, which means that we are cognitively and affectively the dominant narratives are against the dominant narratives that exist at the subconscious level. They are against our best interests, because they tell us to do this and do that, to behave like this and behave like that, in the pursuit of the self-interest. But for most of us, that will not result in our best interest, and that's what we need to understand. That it is a dogma. It is a principle based not on the rule but on the exception, which means that we believe that it is the rule, that we need to the pursuit of self-interest will give us more opportunities to become successful. But it doesn't work like that. In reality, some of us might be successful, but for the most of us, it won't. We'll be at most be able to satisfy our needs, but we have to cope with the system to achieve it, which means that we have to be able to perform bullshit jobs and cheated jobs, and to get and to live kind of paycheck to paycheck, and afraid of losing our jobs, and living in this helplessness mode, to just basically survive, not really to build a meaningful life for most of us. And then we need drugs and alcohol and this and that in order to kind of and other, so many and that is the industry, the infotainment industry, distraction. And this is cultural manipulation. This is not cultural liberation. That's exactly the opposite. And this is this is why we need to work on the on this, because there is no cultural shift if we do not go through process, a conscious transformative process, which means that we have to concentrate ourselves. We have to concentrate ourselves in the in an introspective process of understanding what are the principles and values and ideas that really rule that are the pillars of our cultural, socio-cultural identity, that affect our that affect us at the level of the psychological, cognitive, and affective level. Because we need, if what is the purpose of life? If we come here, okay, we are born, we don't have I don't believe in the laws of karmas and those things. It's just, to me, honestly, a disappointment, in the sense that this doesn't help us to live. This is the kind of ideas that are behind the idea of adapting to the existing system, which means that if you are born as a Dalita, as an untouchable, you are supposed to have a bad karma, so therefore you have to accept your condition, your socioeconomic condition. And this should be a red flag. This is not liberative. This is punishment. And this punishment with a single idea. The idea that you and others, you see yourself as you perceive yourself as deserving your condition, your socioeconomic condition, okay? And cultural condition, and political condition as well. And others also perceive you as you deserving it. So it is, and they can look down on you as an inferior being. They can use you. And this is how a class and caste-based system functions. And going back to the left and right, and the rift between the left and the right, I talked about private and class, and also the proprietary rights. So if we want, this is a profound division, because between the radical left, call it this way, because what people call left is not left. There are so many progressives and liberal progressives, but that's not left, because most of the parties and the movements and organizations and groups that are identified with left and progressive and liberal, they all believe in the capitalist system. And that's where, and the right, of course, and all the center left, center right, far right, and they all believe in the capitalist system. The unlimited ability to accumulate wealth and capital, and accumulation of the private property, control of private property, and proprietary rights. So this is the principle that John Locke defended, that private property is a natural right, which is for sure a lie. That has not been like that. You don't even have territorial rights, because the animals and human beings, when you fight for the territory where we live, because you need a territory, you need resources, you need food, you need water, you need whatever we need to get it from somewhere. So if we live in a territory, it's natural that we defend that territory, whether we are human beings or any other any other animal. That's not a natural right. You don't have the right to that territory. You can move to another territory, as we can do if there is climate change, for example. There has been very different geological periods, and these things, if we go through a period where a glacial period, we might need to move, we might need to migrate. So therefore there is no natural. Now we live in a different world where are the countries. So the countries, they are not natural for sure, but since we have we need to have order, and the definition of countries with defined borders, it's a form of organizing the world and creating an international laws that allow us to cooperate and to live together, to not fight all the time. So when you are confronted with or when you are exposed to ideas and messages and narratives and whatever it is that tell you there is no left and right, this doesn't make any sense to talk about left and right and blah blah blah, you should, if you are working class, if you are part of the largest group of people that live paycheck to paycheck, that are affected by manufactured scarcity, you need to understand this principle, this concept of manufactured scarcity, which is a feature of capitalism, okay? It's not natural scarcity that can happen, okay, for whatever reason. Capitalism produces manufactured scarcity and uses political austerity to control us. So you always think about that. The only the radical left, which should be identified as the left. The radical left is the only little tiny part of the political spectrum that truly wants the liberation, a liberative culture, a political that wants liberation for the individual. And if they do not want it, if all of those that pretend to be left but don't fight, don't endorse the principles of economic democracy and political democracy and the culture of true liberation, which means that the economy, the purpose of the economy of a social and ecological economy is to satisfy the needs, not the whims. And there is no reason for entitlement. There is no reason to feel superiority. We cannot have a culture of merit is important, but meritocracy is a dogma, is a system that makes us again, that instrumentalizes us to believe that is fair to have people entitled to the things that most of us cannot have. And because they have earned it, this idea that you earned it. No, we don't earn what we cannot do with our hands. Okay? Which means that we always depend on others to do the things for us. We can only use money, capital, wealth, accumulated wealth, okay, and power to impose others to serve us or to produce certain things for us. So this feeling, this entitlement and privileges is something that if you are left, we can change these things. But for what I'm trying to talk now, we need to understand that we cannot think like that. Equality is not about everybody being equal, but it's about that we cannot have a culture that defines us by inequality, which means by I earn the right, okay, to feel entitled to things, to goods, services, property or rights that others can't have, because whatever reason I have served my country, or I've discovered something, or I work harder than others, and blah blah blah. No, it's not about working hard. It's about what you do for society. It's about what you produce. It's about reciprocity. It is about an economy based on reciprocity and sufficiency. It's not about that you work hard, you deserve more. No, you just have to work what your share, your fair share. And you should do with your life what you really want to do, but always in a relation. It is always relational because you don't live in an empty world. You live in a society and you need that society to survive. And this is another principle that in my perspective is a left principle. You recognize society and you recognize the need for a state, because the complex society requires a state and a government, democratic, not there can have representation, but not the kind of representation we are, as we have today, that we do not control anything. We are powerless. Totally powerless. So, the left, that's so. Most people do not understand two things. They don't understand what is the left, and they don't understand what is capitalism. In spite of being ruled, exploited, used, abused, and by it. Okay? So if you, so the left, honestly, I cannot consider a person that that identifies as being left and is not against class and caste societies, or is not really very or against or totally against private property, or at least with very limitations, in order that those who can have, those who for whatever reason own property can use it to control others, because that's why it might not happen in the medium course, but in the long term, and if there is, and that's the problem with the hereditary rights, which should be abolished, honestly. And many people don't understand it, because again, we are we have been, our minds are so colonized by this pursuit of self-interest, this private property cult. It's a cult that people cannot even have a critical. I don't even mean that people should be against or for it. It's just because it just have a critical analysis of it. How it really affects our lives. How it makes us, enslaves us. Because then that is the role of that, which is a capitalistic feature as well. Like the capitalism is a debt-based system. That's why it requires permanent growth and expansion. That's why it is imperialistic. Even and we will never have a hand to it, because if a corporation, a company, a business needs to grow, what is the end of that? It has to grow forever. Do we really need to go? Do we need to go from to look for other planets to colonize? Bring capitalism and freedom and democracy, the American dream elsewhere? That's what it is about? That's what life is about? That's what a meaningful life is about? Do you want to grow forever? Or you want to mature? Do you want to become, to have a better and more holistic comprehension of life, of yourself, of feeling connected with life, feeling connected with nature? What do you really want? The point is, we are not condemned to be controlled all our lives through narratives that we do not have any control. The narratives. The point is that most narratives do have the purpose of manipulating perception. And if we understand, if we come to the realization that inequality is an essential feature of the existing system, and if we really understand that is not natural, it is manufactured, it is political, it is cultural, we can start to build our own system of values and principles, and by our own I don't mean that they are exempt of influences, because as I often say, we all are bits and pieces of other people, other people knowledge and experiences. So we cannot avoid influences, but we can build our own system of values and principles that for us they need to be part of a society and a civilization. They need to be structural for a society and civilization that allows us at the individual level to enjoy the freedom to build a life with meaning, which doesn't mean that it's a career, as most of us like to use this word, my career, my blah blah. No, it's not about a career. It's about having a life with meaning, with a career or not. Because so many of us need to do different things throughout our lives in order to have meaningful lives. It's not about building a career, a successful career. This is not about success. It's about meaning. Okay? It can go together, but many times it's two separated ways. That civilization, society and economy need to be it is imperative to be for the collective well-being. It's not about collectivism versus individualism. It's about individual liberation for the collective well-being. And this is how we then can come to the conclusion where in the spectrum, in the political spectrum, you find the people that with whom you share common ideas and values and principles. You don't do the opposite as most people do. That we do not build our own structure of values, the system of values, principles and ideas, but we usually emotionally bind to the political parties, movement, people, leaders that talk to our grievances and identities, you know, and that's why we so many times align ourselves with the wrong people, the wrong movements, and the wrong organizations, instead of reflecting on what's wrong with the existing system, and how can we together, not by following leaders but by telling them what to do. We don't need them, but we need people what there is need to be done in order to achieve the change that we need for a ecological-holistic civilization and a social and ecological political economy, which I call economy reciprocity and sufficiency economy. That's what I like. That's what, in my opinion, is the essence of what the economy needs to be: sufficiency and reciprocity. A culture of true liberation to replace a culture for the pursuit of self-interest, because true liberation for a social species, a deeply social species as we are, it has to be a culture of cooperation, of reciprocity, a culture of trust, truth, and justice. Not the culture of betrayal and deception, where we try to trick each other in order to get advantages. You know, not to compete to each other, it was to use all the tricks in the trick toolbox, you know, that we are trained to become unscrupulous, you know, to use instead of train ourselves and be trained by the system. We are trained systemically, because it is a structural feature to become not to become an that we build and trust, that we try to get to use all kind of tricks, because we have the ability to do it. That's not because we don't have the ability. Of course we have that ability, but it's the same that we have the neuroplasticity and the behavioral plasticity to be different and to be consciously different, becoming conscious that it is, we have the ability to develop the consciousness that and reward. Okay, this is also about to use as it is used. You have shame and guilt and reward and punishment in the right ways, because these can be used as social levers, okay, for a good purpose, not to make us abusers and being rewarded and feeling pride or feel proud by being nasty and to beat others and use and rig the system and do whatever, because the pursuit of self-interest is what matters. So we are not, that's the point, condemned to live like that and to honor and defend and give our lives or give up our lives to cope with such a system. But as social beings, we need to come together. We need to unite and organize. But in order to be able to do it, we need to deal with the cultural constructions, with the artifices, with the tricks that are used to atomize us and tribalize us around the wrong issues. Of course, to weaken. The purpose is to weaken, to divide, to control. And the problem is that we, instead of reflecting, having an analytical, critical analysis approach of these issues, we most of the time buy into the lies, into the perception manipulation that transforms us into useful idiots and cannon fodder. A culture of liberation needs to be built, created, implemented, and sustained. And that culture of liberation is a culture that it has to be political, economic, social, and cultural. It has to be holistic. It has to be part of the web of life, because as it's not culture versus nature, it's culture in the web of nature. So this process, this is a process, a revolution of the mind that we need to understand. It is a cognitive revolution. It is a linguistic revolution. It's a language. It's an important tool. It's a tool for perception manipulation that sometimes we do not give the relevance it needs. A story, or a narrative, or a movie, or a documentary, or a book, anything, as its value should never be measured by its aesthetics, by its beauty, by its style, by its intellectual, complexity or sophistication, but by its veracity, by if it is lying to you, it is the impact and these consequences on the building of our identity and of our perception of reality, and the building of our relations with each other and with nature and with everything, the cosmos and everything else that matters. It's not, beauty is important, but if beauty is to lead us, if aesthetics is to lead us, if is to lead us to lies, is part of the manipulation process to control and to manufacture consent, therefore it is evil. And it is part of a culture of imprisonment and the pursuit of self-interest and self-aggrandizement, and this culture of celebrity culture, and this idea of heroes and saviors and authorities and leaders, and all this that we always that we are addicted to, instead of being addicted to liberation and to ideas and to truth and justice. Not addicted, because it's not about being addicted. It's a conscious process, transformative process that we need to be, that should be the pursuit of life, and part of the pursuit of happiness, part of the pursuit of meaning. This is spiritual liberation, as well as economic and political and cultural and social. And it is required to be part of the collective well-being. We cannot and should not feel that our life matters if the lives of others don't matter. They do matter as much as ours. So you cannot have a culture of the pursuit of the self-interest, because it always ends up being against on the interest against the collective interest. It has to be a culture of individual liberalization to free. To that, at the individual level, we enjoy as much freedoms as possible, but for the collective well-being. If we don't address the issues of wealth accumulation and private property and proprietary rights, and how law is used to protect oligarchs and plutocrats, and this and the problem of caste and class societies. I think we miss we really miss the essence of the structural problems that we face, and we need to end them. The capitalist system produces more bad leaders than good leaders. But even the good leaders, they come and go, they exist, they come and go, they are overthrown, especially when they become a threat to the existing order, to the capitalist oligarchy and plutocracy. So it is not about leaders. It doesn't matter if they are good, because if it's about us, it's about our agency. It's about a culture of that we have democratic agency. And that is part of the culture of liberation. This is all. It is all integrated in. It is all part of the same system. It has to be a system, because in the end, everything in life is about processes and systems, and either we understand it in a holistic way or not, or probably we will be used and abused all our lives, while believing that we are free and make free choices and free decisions and blah blah blah. You make free decisions and free choices in things that don't matter, because when you start to ask the wrong questions and challenge the elites, you will see if you are free, if you enjoy those freedoms and liberties and blah 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 that supposedly capitalism assures you. Of course not. Capitalism is about exploitation, it's about inequality, it's about manufactured scarcity, control, expansion, imperialism, colonialism, plunder, and surely genocide is a criminal system. Whether it is authoritarian or liberal, it is a criminal system, and it always ends in fascism, always. Because when the crisis goes too far, there we need fascism to correct it. Not liberation. So I'm going to end here now. This, of course, like all my monologues, this is not supposed to be definitive. It's a work in progress. It's a collective work. It's not supposed to be. I'm not an authority in anything, and I don't pretend to be one, but I pretend to use my intelligence in a critical and constructive way. Not to be. I don't want to be a follower. I want to be part of a participatory system. I want to be a free person in every sense of the word. And I think we should all agree on that. but as part, not as part of the pursuit of self-interest, but as part of individual liberation for the collective good. Thanks for listening. I will be back soon.